Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 31 of our security show on the In30 network. We have semi-breaking news, and when I say semi, as we talk about it right now, it is breaking. But when you hear about it on Tuesday, it will hopefully have a resolution that we will then talk about the following Wednesday. Anyway, we have Tom here, and we want to talk about TrueCrypt.
Howdy.
So, Tom, we had a lot of breaking news. What's up?
Well, and you will only hear this here. We know exactly what's going on. There are no unanswered questions, and we have all the answers. And that couldn't be any further from the truth if I tried.
So we were going to talk about eBay and their passwords, or we were going to talk about TrueCrypt, and then TrueCrypt put this really cryptic message: something's wrong. I mean, literally, it's like, something's wrong. Don't use it. Don't use our product. Something's wrong.
Yeah.
And no one knows what it's talking about. Use BitLocker, which is nothing. Said no open source freedom fighter ever.
Yeah. No, it's so TrueCrypt. If you don't know TrueCrypt, and I feel like we've talked about it before, but I'm not entirely.
I'm not 100% sure.
So TrueCrypt is a great piece of software for Linux, Mac, Windows. It works just about everywhere. That allows you to create these little, essentially encrypted vault files that you can store stuff into, and you type in your password, and it shows up like a flash drive would when you plug it into your computer. Really cool stuff. You throw files in there, you go back to TrueCrypt, you click Unmount, and then they're locked away, stored, and secured, and no one can get it without your password. Now, what's really cool about it, it's really good encryption. The source code is open, so you can read it, you can audit it. It's not like they're doing anything weird in the back rooms, or they're hiding a government backdoor or anything. You can actually see what the software is doing, and it's generally considered to be very, very secure. As a matter of fact, it's run afoul of most law enforcement agencies because certain criminals that have employed the use of TrueCrypt have foiled certain parts of investigations because the cops couldn't break into the computer. Really cool tech, really good security.
I mean, it's more than just pretty good security. I think it's I think the de facto right now, if as for not even for a consumer product.
Yeah, it is the drive encryption technology. And realistically, there's nothing really special about what TrueCrypt does. It takes already open, proven ciphers. It takes AES, it takes Twofish, it takes Serpent, it takes all of these really good encryption ciphers and packages them up nicely so you can easily use them. It's not like there's any magic except for, look, they wrote a really nice user interface that's really easy for people to use. And it works on your Mac, it works on Windows, it works on Linux, and they've got a portable version you can load in a flash drive. It's really good.
I don't know if I would call it extremely easy to use, but it's easy enough to use if you read the manual. And I mean, one of the cool things was that plausible deniability feature. You can hide more stuff secretly somewhere else. So if you were ever compelled by customs agents or whatever, or what have you, to unlock it, you can exercise your rights, and eventually you may lose. And then you can say, okay, here it is, but have something hidden somewhere else that's completely separate.
So you can have like a file with two different passwords, and one password leads into your tax documents, which are private, but they're not necessarily secret. The government, the IRS, definitely knows about your tax documents because you give them to them every year. Your accountant probably knows about your tax documents, so you can give that password away. But you can have a really secret password where you keep, your Star Wars fan fiction that you wrote. Like really, really creepy stuff that you want to hide. And it's really great. And you can do that with files and file lockers, but you can also do that with entire operating systems. You can have a separate password that boots you into a completely different part of Windows. Really powerful stuff. So that's really the overview on TrueCrypt and what it does, and it's been around for about a decade. It's not new. It's been around a while, and it's become one of the most trusted pieces of software. one thing you have to realize about these guys is the developer is anonymous, essentially. They are part of what's called the TrueCrypt Foundation. Um, they accept, patches from people, but they don't come out and say, "Hey, I write TrueCrypt." They've mostly gone nameless across the internet. So they put out a really, really cryptic message. If you go to truecrypt.org, it
Well, here,
starts
I can
saying,
read it.
yeah,
Warning. So first, the TrueCrypt site is obviously, it changed to the SourceForge.net site. That's the first weirdness. Basically,
mm,
the website is different. Warning, using TrueCrypt is not secure as it may contain unfixed security issues. This page exists only to help migrate existing data encrypted by TrueCrypt, basically to Microsoft's BitLocker.
right. Which, if you've seen and if you're familiar with what the TrueCrypt guys have said and the documentation and blog posts they've put out, you know that they've been rallying against BitLocker and against proprietary encryption software since they've been around. Because, I mean, Microsoft is notorious for bending over backwards to appease law enforcement. They've got a really bad, nasty habit of building backdoors into their software so governments can take advantage of them. BitLocker probably isn't all that different. There's probably a set of secondary decryption keys that allows a government agency to get in. There's probably a way to do that. Now, I can't say that for certain. I don't know, but it's not a good idea to rely on proprietary technology for your security and especially for your encryption. It's just got bad karma written all over it. So for the TrueCrypt organization, for the foundation to put out a message that says, hey, TrueCrypt may contain unfixed security issues. We released a new version. It cannot encrypt anything. It can only decrypt things. Move to BitLocker. And they give screenshots on how to move to BitLocker. And this site, I mean, it's Times New Roman on a web page. It's not got a background. It's literally just a set of screenshots with words below them.
GeoCities, circa, was it 1998?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks like something from the way, way, way early days of the web. Like, there's been no time put into this. And the first thing I thought is somebody has to be hacked. Somebody had to have hacked TrueCrypt. Or redirected DNS, or taken over the SourceForge account, something. These guys wouldn't put this out. Everything the TrueCrypt Foundation has put out has been not really the easiest thing to use, but it's been very, very polished. And more than that, the documentation has been absolutely incredible. Every little thing you might think of or have a curiosity about has been written about, packaged into like pages and pages of PDF documentation, and the guys say, yeah, here's everything we know, here's how it works, here's how you should act if this certain thing happens with these government officials, and what you should do with a hidden volume. Insane amounts of dedication to polishing their product. The thing they put out, the thing that's basically replaced their website right now, is one of the most unpolished things I've ever seen. It's the most unpolished thing I've ever seen come out of TrueCrypt, which sends up red flags immediately. Absolutely immediately.
Well, I mean, most people are shocked by this. They don't know if is it a hack or is something going on, and that's the big issue. I mean, like you're saying, we don't know. This is not something they do, so it could be very simply a DNS redirection, or it could be somebody got a hold of their website, which XKCD did a phenomenal comic about a year ago saying, okay, so what? You hacked the front page of a website, big deal. But we don't. This is where we're getting our security information. This is what we're trusting. We have no idea what's going on. Are these files secure? Is there a backdoor? What's going on?
Yeah. Now, so they've got the new version 7.2 out, and they've got a key with it. And initial reports suggested, hey, somebody may have uploaded a new key 3 days before this hit. So we thought, oh, yeah, somebody hacked SourceForge, they hacked their server, this is the work of somebody just trying to deface TrueCrypt and, have us lose faith in the project. So I wasn't too concerned, but it didn't go away. So people started digging a little bit deeper and going back into their archives. Turns out the key is actually the same. The files that they released have been signed by the TrueCrypt Foundation's legitimate key before this ever happened. So that's very, very concerning. This is just weird. It's really, really weird. And someone brought up a good point. They said, hey, look, if you had no choice but to either insert a backdoor into your product or shut it down, and you needed to shut it down without causing a big stink about things, or by telling people to stay away without saying exactly what you mean, because if they got a national security letter, they're probably not allowed to talk about it. They're probably not allowed to say...
By the way, I said that, and I know I'm not the only one to say that, but
Yeah.
I organically said that this morning.
Yeah. So, if these guys got a national security letter that said, hey, you need to insert backdoors into your product, also, if you tell anyone about this, we will have you in some hole in the ground in a jail cell, and you will never see the light of day again. They can't say anything about it, right? That's what's dangerous about these national security letters. You can't go to the press. There's even weird protections with your lawyer. It's really odd. I mean, with LeVar Levinson, he rode the edge of what's considered legal when it comes to getting one of those types of requests. So by putting this page out, it could be a warrant canary, what's called a warrant canary, which is if we told you, if we came on to security in 30, and we said, just when you go to log into your bank, make sure it doesn't use SSL at all. No, that's not a guy pointing a gun at me. Just don't use any form of encryption whatsoever. Also, PGP is completely broken. Stay away. Send emails in plain text. You would probably know something's up, right? That's totally out of character for us, and this release is totally out of character for the TrueCrypt Foundation. This is a warning. I truly believe this is a warning to stay away from any future versions of TrueCrypt. Now, somebody did do essentially a difference comparison between the old version and the new version, and what they found was they just removed all of the encryption capabilities of the software, but they did change everywhere where it said US, they changed it to United States. So that could be one of two things. It could either be them moving to the new style connotations of the newest version of Visual Studio because it changed, or it could be a subtle hint telling us that, hey, something in the United States government is pressuring us to release this and destroy TrueCrypt. The good news is the Streisand effect is working it's working overtime hours right now. And if you want TrueCrypt, all you have to do is kind of maybe almost turn on your web browser and kind of stumble onto the internet, and people will be throwing TrueCrypt at you. It's like pop-up ads, but with encryption software. You can go to GitHub. You can actually go to grc.com, click Other. Steve Gibson has got a TrueCrypt archive where you can get all the versions, you can get all the source code for 7.1a, for the old version that does all the good stuff. The audit on TrueCrypt, the professional security audit, is going to continue. They are going to move into phase 2 here soon, and hopefully we get some news. But it's been a while, and things just get weirder.
Well, my conspiracy, I mean, the whole thing was, we all know TrueCrypt was developed by Israelis. I mean, if you're developing TrueCrypt, now the first phase of the audit said, it's good. It's not coding ninja style good, but it did a good job. And so if these people are taking all this seriously, they have to be really smart. And they have to be, I mean, if you're Israeli, you've gone through the army, I bet you the Israeli Secret Service, the Israeli NSA, snatched them up and said, you wrote this. We know that you wrote this, but we'll protect you. I mean, I'm not 100% sure. This is purely conjecture, but I bet you they got protection, and now people are snooping around. Snowden did his interview last night, or I don't know, the night, so Tuesday night last week, where he talked to Brian Williams, and probably, I didn't get a chance to watch it, probably said a lot of dastardly things that people don't want to hear. But I bet you now the NSA is starting to sniff around, see these guys, find out who they really are, and like Tom's saying, and what we're saying is they probably had to throw up a red flag that could have been, I don't know, we found the security error. We're warning everybody to just to watch out that this is not secure, and hopefully people take the bait and go from there.
Yeah. Now, what it could be, and I've heard this before. I'm not sure if I buy it, but this could be 100% legitimate. Now, it smells all wrong, right? It stinks to high heaven. There's no way that this is legitimate. But on the off chance that it is, if the guys at TrueCrypt found some major security flaw that could compromise all encryption volumes made with TrueCrypt ever instantaneously, they're probably not going to release it. And they probably won't release a fix. Because if they release a fix, even in binary, it doesn't take too long to try to figure out where the holes are, right? So by admitting there's, a problem, a specific problem that people can attack, all of a sudden everyone who's using TrueCrypt is now at major risk because their once encrypted files are able to be decrypted easily. So it's a possibility. I don't think it's a good possibility. I seriously believe this is a warrant canary, and TrueCrypt is throwing up the red flag saying, hey, when 7.3 comes out and, it doesn't look like our software, do not use it under any circumstances. Stick with the one you know. So I'm hoping someone forks the open source project. There's a lot to be discussed, a lot to be discovered, and everyone has questions, and I don't think most of them, I believe most of them are going to go unanswered.
Now, before pre-show, you were talking about open source licensing. I only know very little about it, but obviously you could tell us why forking it may not be so easy.
Yeah, the TrueCrypt was developed with, it wasn't, some people are saying it wasn't actually open source. It was, you could see the source code, you could get to it easily, you could download it easily. That counts as open source for me. Now, was it using an open source initiative approved license? No, not at all, not in any way. They were using their own license, the TrueCrypt license that they made. And there's some question on whether or not they could take TrueCrypt's code and fork it to another license and actually build upon it. There's some legal question there of whether or not that would be allowed, because the language isn't quite clear, and then there are some components of TrueCrypt which are actually written by other people on different licenses that don't necessarily pertain to the TrueCrypt license, so you would have to get their permission as well to bring in those pieces of software to make TrueCrypt run. So you've got a bunch of different licenses bundled up to make this one program, and in order to fork it, you now have to get, basically the signed permission of a bunch of people and work around the weird licensing requirements that the TrueCrypt license has, and you can't relicense any of it, and it makes the whole thing a mess. Now, TrueCrypt is, it's a really hard thing. On one hand, we have licensing, we have especially open source licenses to protect coders and to protect software users. It's fantastic. It's great. MIT, GPL, the Apache license, BSD, the Mozilla license, love them all. They're great. I'm partial to MIT, but, whatever. They should be respected. They should really be protected and honored by the law, but TrueCrypt is such an important piece of software for so many people every day can we really let something like licensing prevent that software from continuing on? I mean, I don't know of anyone who's going to rewrite all of TrueCrypt. I mean, it's been a labor of love for a decade, and it's one of the most complete, brilliant pieces of software I've ever used as far as functionality. Could it be better in some ways? Oh yeah, there's a laundry list of things to do. But is it pretty great now? Yeah, and you're not going to get there overnight.
Well, I mean, we were talking this pre-show that on one hand you have this ethical dilemma: do we allow somebody to fork it even though it violates the GPL and the Apache licenses and everything else? And on one hand, obviously you want to say yes, but on the other hand, that's why those licenses were put in place. And I don't know if we should fix it, even though, I mean, on one hand, absolutely, let's do it. It's altruistic reasons. This is what's going down. But on the other hand, that's why the protections were in place. And I don't know if I think the protections may hold stronger than the altruism.
Yeah. Now, I mean, this is a very rare case for me where I actually might be in support of the piracy of open source software. I might be in favor of, throwing the open source licenses away and relicense everything under MIT and put it up on GitHub, and let's fix this thing and make it work on GPT and make sure it's secure and get it audited and all this stuff. But on the other hand, that's why we have these things. That's why we have these rules, and it's at the very least dishonorable, and at the absolute worst, it turns us into, the worst intellectual property thieves stealing from an orphanage. It does not put those developers in a good light. Now, is it necessary? It might be. Is it right? Probably not.
So we should let criminals deal with this.
I mean, I can hold the charge.
Well, we should let the pirate, not necessarily the Pirate Bay, but we should let the Pirate Bay take this and do whatever they need to do with it.
Let me go get my ski mask and my pirate hat, and I'll start coding. But I can't code without those if I'm going to break these licenses.
I mean, the problem is that we don't know who developed this. Like, we have no idea.
Yeah.
The TrueCrypt Foundation, it's like the Human Fund. We don't know who did it. We're assuming there's somebody there. We're sending them money. We're assuming it's going to a good place, but we don't actually know. And not to say stealing from someone we don't know is right, but I don't know. Do you steal bread to keep your family fed?
Do you steal software to keep your family safe from government snoops?
So
yeah, it's there's a big dilemma there, and to segue nicely, it brings up another good point. Some people were paying money. TrueCrypt had a donation page. They accepted PayPal. I've donated to them a couple times. Not anything major, probably $20-$30 over the years when I reinstalled it and the big red donation button popped up. So, oh yeah, I use this all the time, and I clicked it. But it's no secret that open source projects make absolutely no money. I mean, you could put up a donation page, but how many people donate? Probably the most successful, really open, free thing that we all donate to all the time because we love it is Wikipedia, and that's probably because they pester us for 2 to 3 months out of the year. That's probably because we get the banner ads and the emails and Jimmy Whale staring into your soul telling you to donate money. With TrueCrypt, they don't really have that. They had the donate button, but I mean that's a full-time job. That's a full-time job for like 5 people, and we're not giving them any money. Same thing with OpenSSL, and that's starting to be resolved with the core software fund, but really important software that you use, software that you absolutely need. We need to make sure to reward those developers. Yeah, they're doing it for free. Yeah, it might be a hobby. But at the end of the day, there are really, really, really important pieces of software that simply do not get enough funding. What if they disappeared tomorrow? What if Apache? What if the foundation just said, yeah, sorry guys, we're not making enough money to, feed our families. So peace, we quit. And all the Apache servers just started decaying. Like,
Well, if I
that's
put, let's say I gave $5 million to TrueCrypt yesterday,
right.
I mean, I'm out $5 million. Or that's what happened with LeVar, with LeVar Levinson's product, LavaBit. People were giving money for 10 years worth of mail, and then he went down and say, "Thank you, I'm using this for my legal fund." And I can see people being annoyed, and I think that's what with open source people are. Yeah, support us, but know that we don't have to. We don't have to tell you why we shut down yesterday or tomorrow or the next day.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no accountability on either end, and it's a little sad. I mean, I wish there was something like, if
Well,
we meet this goal, we will guarantee that we will be up for the next year, or some sort of veiled threat, but at least it's there.
so how many businesses or subscription products do you buy that give you that guarantee? I
Yeah,
know
I know.
I know Netflix doesn't guarantee me anything. If I give them my $8 a month, they could go away tomorrow. Or I could just have really bad Netflix one day. They're gonna say, I guess that's too bad. Sorry about that.
I'm on Verizon. I don't get. I never get any good Netflix ever.
Yeah, and there's no guarantee with any company you're giving money to. So you could pay for the lifetime like Carbonite account or
Yeah.
Mozy account, and they could go out of business next week. Yeah, you're not. A, you're probably never seeing that money again. B, that happens. I mean, it's a free market. They're not just propped up companies that'll live forever.
Oh, correct. It's one of those. This takes us back to the Google Reader debacle, where all of a sudden Google Reader shuts down, and we're scrambling. What's going on? Why they do this? Because it holds. It's close to us. A lot of people use TrueCrypt. A lot of people rely on TrueCrypt. Now we're going to have this last version, and that's it, unless somebody forks it, and then that whole audit now has to start all over again
Yeah.
based on the new audit. So you're going to be using the software, and if there really is, there very may well be a backdoor that they found out recently, and that's why they're doing it. Now you're using the old version. We just don't know. And hopefully, by the time you hear this, we'll have more news.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest, or I wouldn't think it would be a backdoor that they would have found. Just probably a bug. But hey, the audit's still going on. We'll see at the end of phase 2 if these guys find anything. And it's not, your average audit. This is a really comprehensive security audit. So
And the NSA could have found something, and that could have leaked out, or I mean, who knows? And hopefully that this audit actually does find it. We're hoping that really, really smart people are behind it.
yeah.
So
So what do we use to encrypt our files currently? I'm on TrueCrypt 7.1a. Again, grc.com. Go to Other. Go to TrueCrypt Archive, and it's all there. Um, so I'll continue using TrueCrypt until I learn otherwise. If I want to encrypt something quickly, don't want to make a container, GPG works great, and it's known to be secure.
I mean, I'm on just for convenience sake, I'm using File Vault 2 on the Mac. It's doing, again, I talked with Tom pre-show. I have stuff, but it's not the end of the world if anybody finds it. So if I can just stop prying eyes or my laptop getting stolen, I'm happy with that. And I think BitLocker on the PC end is the right way if it's just I need to secure something right now, and if it gets out, it gets out.
Yeah, if you're looking for real security from government entities, from law enforcement, from people that really know how to snoop and have got a lot of resources, I would not go to BitLocker. I would not go to FileLocker. I'd stick with a good open source platform, and TrueCrypt 7.1. Until I learn something different, it is secure. Now, will it be broken in 1,000 years? Probably. Is it broken today? I wouldn't bet on it.
We're gonna stick with it's something else is up, and hopefully in the next week we will figure it out. But anyway, that's our 30 minutes, so we're gonna end, and hopefully hopefully, stay tuned. We'll have more news next week.
And check out the show notes. We're going to have like a giant pile of links. Read some of this stuff. The rabbit hole gets insane.
So, have a good night, everyone.
See you guys.
Bye.